Crisis. Manchester United in crisis. End of days. Armageddon. It's apocalypse now. The manager is out of his depth. There is going to be no money to spend in the summer. The board don't know what they're doing. The media is on the attack. There is no way out. That is how a lot of Man United fans feel. It's the projection that you're getting from rivals. It's the hope that you're getting from rivals that it's all doom and gloom. Could they be right? Yes. We could find in a year, in 2, in 3, and 4, Man United is still in this hole. United still have huge problems, that there has been no progression. I am completely open-minded to that being true. What I find so interesting, though, is that amongst all the chaos and the frustration and the poor performances and the financial reports that are coming out, is anything that is positive is completely ignored. And the lies are just accepted as part of the rhetoric. And the positive being ignored and the lies being sort of fanned by the media, fanned by rivals. And of course, Man United fans who don't want Amorim or that don't agree with the Ineos approach, fair play to you. You're entitled to your opinion, and I am not suggesting you should change. What I am asking for is honest, grown-up conversations. I don't believe that Man United fans scorching earth right now is going to save the club. I just don't. I see no empirical evidence. I see no case in point. I see no example whatsoever of the online approach from Man United fans ever having helped a club before get back to the peak of its powers. The only element I suppose I agree with is people talking about boycotting and pulling money away from the club to try and force out. We've seen that work. So that's why I'm not against it. But in terms of being angry at every step, siding with the media lies, siding with rivals and ripping into the club, tell me how that works. It's fun, by the way. Rivals love it. Oh, I love casing into Man United. It's fun. And when a United fan joins in with us, it gives me that dopamine release. I get it. I understand. But how true are the problems? And the reason why I say that is because the amount of lies that are being told on top of the problems that exist tell me that a lot is being exaggerated. A lot is being exaggerated. Yes, the field of play things aren't very good right now. Some are going to say it's the coach. Some are going to say it's the players. And look, this is why I think give the manager until next season. And I'll tell you as to why. Because we've got to test the theory. We have to test the theory out. Let's say, and we're going to show you in a while, quite a lot of players are going to leave this summer. At least 5 are going on a free. 3, 4, 5 will be sold. Maybe somewhere between sort of 5 and 6 will come in and a few promotions from the academy. And if we start next season, after a pre-season, if we buy well and there is a massive improvement on the football pitch, it is a fair way to proving that everybody backing Amorim and stating that it's the players through a lack of quality, desire, lack of motivation, or throwing the manager under the bus. And it isn't all of those things, but it's a combination of. And not all of those things from every one player. I mean, a combination of throughout the squad. If we see that improvement, then for me, that there's proof there. And where there is this sort of dichotomy in the Man United fan base at the moment is the opposite side to that. The coaching is bad. And I don't agree with that opinion per se right now. But I'm open to it being true. But again, you clear out some players, you bring in some new bodies. If next season there is zero improvement, then I will agree with those individuals and say, yeah, you're absolutely onto something here. The training's been happening for 12 months. The signings have been made. There is zero improvement. I think you're right. The coaching is bad or the approach doesn't work. But I think we have to do the test of the pre-season by the players to test that theory. Because there is this dichotomy in the Man United fan base at the moment that needs to be addressed. But what I won't stand for is the lies that are being pushed and the nonsense that's coming out from the media. And I want to play this clip to you here from Rory. Take a little listen to what was said.
As the Premier League icon, probably, if you were to say one player, literally one player that represents the Premier League, the personification of the Premier League, I think it's Wayne Rooney. And he's obviously one of Manchester United's greatest ever players. And when you think about the pantheon of greats that they've had, him coming out and saying this about his former club, which clearly comes from a place of consideration and love, I think it's really bad for Amorim. I do.
It's really bad PR for him, isn't it? But the one thing that I don't quite agree with Rooney on this, right, is that he's basically saying, no, look, you're being too ambitious for where you are right now. But it's not like Amorim has come out and said, we will win the league in 5 years. We will win the league in 3 years, even 10 years. He said, look, there's no time frame, but our goal is eventually to get Manchester United back to where they were, which is winning league titles. What is the big problem with that?
There isn't a problem with suggesting it in the way that exactly you did, but that's not quite what it did. You've put in quite a sympathetic calibration of what was said by Amorim. It was more talking about winning the league. It was talking about Manchester United with him at the helm winning the Premier League title.
So that's what Rory has said. But I've seen the BBC, I've seen Sky Sports, mainstream media pundits, the press, all say similar to Rory. I've seen rivals jump on it. The manager's naive, the manager's stupid. United fans that don't like him jump on it. But let's listen to what the manager actually said for just a moment. Just take a little listen here.
What's your reaction to that? Is winning the Premier League still a realistic thing to be talking about right now?
No, that is the goal. Be naive is to think that we are going to do this season or are going to be the best contender for the next season. So I know that is in this moment everybody knows everything. So I know that, and this is really easy. I was a pundit when I finished my career, so I know it's really easy. Our goal is to win the Premier League. Maybe it's not with me.
So he's quite literally said, I don't think we're winning it this year. We're not going to be one of the top contenders next year. The aim is to win it as a club, but maybe not even with me here. And what I like about that is that he's talking about the club are building something, trying to build a system, trying to build a culture, trying to build a squad that can win. He may not be the man at the helm by the time that's complete, but that's the goal. That's a positive there for me. But the fact that every mainstream media outlet has ignored what he said and taken Rooney's comment, who I still think Rooney's misunderstood his point and misunderstood the context of what the manager has said, and they're running with it. The same as we saw the BBC during the FA Cup game talk about Garnacho at the weekend and say, basically, I wonder if he'll storm off down the tunnel again. Well, that was debunked last week. He told the bench, I'm going to change my top. The manager come out and said there is no problem, there's no issue, this isn't a concern. But yet the commentators were still pushing that out to the millions of viewers watching the show. And for me, Man United fans have got to ask themselves this question. Why the mistruths? Why the lies? Just park for a moment your feelings towards Ineos. Park and deep compartmentalize how you feel about Amorim. And just think about what the media are doing here and if you think that's right. And what's their do you think they're doing it to force Amorim out because they agree with you that he's a bad coach? Do you think that's their motivation? You might side with them because you believe it could force out a coach you don't like. But I feel like you're letting the fox into the hen house here. Maybe I could be wrong. I also saw this on the media, from the media. Take a little listen to this. I mean, the rewriting of history is absolutely crazy, but take a little listen.
No, I know. Everyone will say, yeah, we won the Premier League that year. Yeah, but look at the squad. Look what he left. He didn't build a squad. That wasn't a squad that was being built for years to come. And David, one of the biggest signings that he made, I think it might have been the last, was Robin van Persie. He brought him in, 30, I think he was, or around that age. He was the reason they lost the title the year before, because they lost on goal difference. Sir Alex realised, I can't do that again. I'm going to buy a player that's going to get me the goals, because if it comes down to that, we're going to win. And he won it, and he left. David Moyes picks up, I have to say, the squad that he inherited.
I know, but you can't blame that now, can you?
Not
blame
not
Man United in this position because Sir Alex Ferguson. Come on.
No, I agree with that.
It's outrageous.
He says he agrees with it, but he goes on he goes on just after that, Jason Cundy, to talk about how he didn't build for the future, and Fergie's last squad was the beginning of the end for Man United. Now, for me, this is very sort of superficial, very frivolous, petty, shallow as a worm's grave. Sir Alex Ferguson, at the beginning of the 2012-2013 season, wasn't necessarily considering retirement. But a passing in his family, his wife's sister, so his sister-in-law, changed the situation for him because of what his wife was going through. He'd done so many years. He was very, very elderly for a manager, and he decided to call it quits. Now, let us not pretend a few things. Firstly, Man United fans were calling out the Glazers from 2005, not 2013. So there was 8 years where they were still not doing the right things week in, week out, but Fergie and David Gill managed that situation very, very well. It was a good title-winning team. I think they won the title with 89 points. They won the league title at a canter. And although some will say, well, City weren't as good or Liverpool weren't as good that year, I thought it was against the rules to say teams are lucky. You're suggesting Man United were lucky to win the league that year. You're not allowed to do that, right? Man United still had to win their games. We still had to accumulate that amount of points. Also, if you look at the spending that is ensued from 2014 onwards, Man United have had the finances to rebuild that team. There was also a lot of players in that squad who United fans bemoan the selling of or the lack of development. When we think about Rafael da Silva, Javier Hernandez, Danny Welbeck, to call out, Danny Welbeck could play for us now and would still be a good player for us. The fact that he was moved on because of the lack, again, our issue wasn't Sir Alex leaving. It was they didn't find the right manager next in David Moyes. And then we've gone through all these different projects and processes rather than going, right, what do we have? What works? Let's stick with that profile. Let's find a manager that gets the best out of what we have rather than trying to reinvent the wheel all the time. But we're now seeing the media say, yeah, actually, Fergie was the reason they started to decline. When it's such a, as I say, it's such a frivolous, insubstantial comment to make. It's ridiculous. But again, United fans, maybe you'll jump on side with the media here and defend this and push it as the truth when it's absolute nonsense. It's the same with the calls that there's no money at Man United. Yes, we've been sailing close to the wind. There has to be savings made. And we're saving millions on the salaries of players, 30 to 40 million in cutbacks throughout the course of the club. Not saying it's the right thing to do morally, but the club has been losing a lot of money and have made that decision. For the first quarter of this financial year, July until the end of September, for the first time in 3 years, a profit was made in that period. And if you actually look at the amount of money that's owed on players in terms of what we have to sell players for to make a profit in the summer, this was put out today. And I think it was a hit piece, but it ended up making Man United look pretty good. When you think of the players that will actually be sold here, or could be sold, the only one that really worries me is Mason Mount. You'd have to sell him for 33 million to avoid recording a loss. Højlund maybe as well at 38 million is a concern to a few people. But the rest of them, I don't feel like we're going to lose that much money in any of these players. If Shaw and Delot and Maguire are sold, that is all pure profit. We're seeing Eriksen, Lindelof, Heaton, Evans and Sancho leave, which is going to save the club hundreds of thousands of pounds a week in salary. Rashford and Anthony are going to save us £400,000 to £500,000 a week in salary. So, again, the world isn't perfect for Man United. There are areas that are awful. And there are some crises at the club, there's no doubt. But I just feel the media is going too far. Why are they lying about us? Why are they doing hit pieces on... For the first time ever, they're not talking about net spend. They're speaking about the actual profit, which is great to see. But they're so bad at it, they think that report is a bad thing. Well, it actually shows that United will probably make a profit this year with what we spend, because you amortize it, versus what we'll sell. Versus we will bring in more money on the profit and loss accounts than we will spend this summer. We're going to save tens of millions on the wage bill, which is the biggest expense and the most crucial thing to focus on when it comes to a club's expenditure in terms of players. We're going to save loads of money in that area, which they're saying is going to be reinvested into the squad. And I'm just at a point where I think, let's give it the summer at least and see how the season starts. Let's see who we buy. But for the life of me, I cannot understand why Man United fans want to side with the duplicity of the media. They do hit pieces that don't hit, right? They're blaming Fergie for our problems, which is superficial, frivolous nonsense. They're lying about what Amorim has said about the league. Why are you siding with that? Let me know in the comments section below. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace.